So what is an MBA, a Masters of Business Administration? Well, it really goes back to the 1880s, because before the 1880s, around the world for thousands of years, we'd lived in communities and villages of around 150 people. But in the 1880s, with the arrival of electricity, we had the birth of the second industrial revolution and the growth of massive organizations. And as these organizations were really growing to get these benefits, these economies of scale, this mass standardization, the question really arose: how do you coordinate action on such a vast scale? And the answer was provided in the most influential business book of the 20th century. It was published in 1911 by Frederick Winslow Taylor, and it was called The Principles of Scientific Management. And what Taylor crucially said in his text is, in the past, the man has been first. In the future, the system must be first. And this is the world we live in today, a world that's grown out of systems and processes. And it's almost exactly in the same year that really the start of the whole business school system really was born. And so business schools grew up to teach people how to be business administrators. But that was in the industrial world. And now you could argue we live in a post-industrial world. And so the whole nature of an MBA has fundamentally shifted. In fact, it even shifted during Henry Ford's lifetime, because even during his lifetime, despite his astonishing success, in fact, by 1925, he was producing 2 million cars a year, the Model T. But even during his lifetime, the Ford Motor Company lost its dominant position in the market, because along came General Motors and the rather magnificent Alfred P. Sloan, who I would consider the father of the modern management. In fact, at London Business School, where I've lectured for 21 years now, we have one of our degree programs, the Sloan program, named in his honor. And what Sloan crucially said is, there's a funny thing here at GM. We pay for their hands, for their physical labor. We could get their heads for free. And ever since 1911, organizations have been wrestling with exactly this issue. How do you get people to really care about the organization? So whilst an MBA was started off to teach people how to do scientific management, how to be administrators, there is nobody who's considering going to business school today because they want to be just an administrator. There's something more. So how has an MBA evolved from these industrial origins? Well, today, what an MBA is doing is not just preparing you for the world today, but it's also helping you really prepare for the world that is going to emerge and the nature of what great organizations are going to look like in the future. And so what it's really focused on is, what are the skills and capabilities that we know from research really define the great leaders, define the great organizations, and how are these emerging over time? So the MBA is really trying to give you some insight into the skills and give you some of the capabilities that will help you really take up your authority to achieve things that are important for you and important for your organization.